Continuing our work with solving word problems using a system of equations, we're going to look at a problem that involves computing simple interest. So this one says that a combined total of $35,000 is invested in two bonds that pay 4% and 6.5% simple interest. The annual interest is $1,950. How much is invested in each bond? Before we talk about how to solve this problem, let me remind you of the simple interest equation. And that looks like this. It says I equals PRT. In this equation, let me explain what the different variables represent. The P is called the principal, and that's the amount of money that's invested originally. So P stands for principal, investment amount. So this is usually a dollar amount, and it's the amount that's invested originally. R is the rate, the interest rate. And when we're working with this equation, this simple interest formula, the rate needs to be as a decimal. Okay, so we're going to be converting percents to decimals. And then T is the investment time. Okay, in this particular problem, it says the annual interest. So that means that T is 1. So T equals 1 for the problem we're going to use. So that means that in this problem, our formula for simple interest that we're going to use is interest equals principal times rate. Okay, so that's for our problem because we're looking at only one single year. Okay, now let's go back to the problem and read it again. It says a combined total of $35,000 is invested in two bonds that pay 4% and 6.5% simple interest. The annual interest is $1,950. How much was invested in each bond? How much was invested? So we're asked to find investment amount, and so that's principal. And we have two investment amounts because we're talking about two different bonds, two different accounts, two different investments. So this is why we're going to use two variables. Let's let X represent the principal invested at 4%. How's that? And then we're going to let Y be the principal invested at the 6.5%. What do we know about these two principles, these two dollar amounts, investment amounts? We know that the combined total of those two amounts is $35,000. So that's going to give us our first equation. Okay, so equation number 1, I'm going to put it over here. X plus Y equals $35,000. That's our total investment amount. Nothing to do with rates yet because we're just talking dollars, right? The original investment amounts. Now to calculate our second equation, that one needs to involve the interest because the other piece of information that we have not used yet is that the annual interest is $1,950. That's how much money was earned, right? So a table might help with this as well. So the table would look like this. There would be a type, there would be a principal, there would be an interest rate as a decimal, and when we multiply these two, we get total interest earned, right? This is the interest that's earned. So we have two types of investments, don't we? We have the 4% bond and we have the 6.5% bond. And the amount invested at 4%, that was our X. We call that X, right? Because it says principal invested at 4% is X. And then the amount invested at 6.5%, that was our Y, isn't it? Because we said Y represents the principal invested at 6.5%. So there's our principal in column. And next, we need our interest rate as a decimal. And as you know, we're going to move the decimal two places to the left. So a 4% bond, the interest rate would be 0.04, 4 hundredths, because the percent symbol means divide by 100, right? 4 divided by 100, so 0.04. And then the 6.5%, that as a decimal will be 0.65. So 6.5%, move the decimal two places to the left because you're dividing by 100. Okay, the interest that was earned at the first bond, you multiply principal times interest, 0.04x. And the interest that was earned at 6.5% bond is 0.065y. And when you add these two interests, the problem says that we should get $1,950. So this is dollars here. All right, and so there is our second equation. So I'm going to put it over here next to this one. As a matter of fact, do you agree with me? Shall we go ahead and do this with a substitution? So I'm going to put it over here. On the right hand side, though, I have all these decimals that I'm not liking too much. I'll be frank with you. You can do this whole problem leaving the decimals in and using your calculator to do that multiplication of decimals. So if you feel really comfortable with that, please go ahead and do that. But if you would like to not deal with the decimals, then I'm going to move the decimal 2 places right, 2 places to the right on all 3 terms here. Oh, okay, it's 3 places. So I'm going to move this 3 places and add a 0 here. 3 places. Do you see why we had to use 3 places? Because of this second term. But then here as well. So sometimes my students will forget to move the decimal on the dollar amount because it doesn't seem to have a decimal, right? That's present, so they forget. That's why I want you to choose if you want to use your calculator or if you want to go ahead and move those decimals. Let me just rewrite this. It looks like this. This is our new cleared equation where we have no decimals. Okay, and then we're using the substitution method. So over here on the left-hand side, let's solve for, how about x? X equals 35,000 minus y, and that's going to be replacing on the right where that x is. So we get 40, then we have our parentheses with our 35,000 minus y. Then we write the rest of the equation here, not forgetting all these zeros over here on the right. We are going to distribute the 40. So I went ahead and distributed the 40, and then I combined the negative 40y and the 65y to give me a positive 25y, and I'm now subtracting this 1,400,000 from both sides because the numbers are getting a little big here, and we get 25y equals 550,000, and then we're going to divide by 25 to find our y, which if you recall is the amount that was invested at 6.5%. So this is a big dollar amount. Y is $22,000, and then x is 35,000 minus 22,000, so we get $13,000 invested. I went ahead and paused the video and then came back and showed you the check here. I went back to our tables and I put x equals 13,000, multiplied it times the 0.04 interest rate, and I got $520 in interest earned in that bond. Then I put in 22,000 for y, multiplied it times the interest rate, and got $1,430 interest, and together this added up to $1,950. And here's our conclusion statement that there was $22,000 invested at 6.5% and $13,000 invested at 4%.